There are moments in life when a single careless gesture changes everything. Sometimes it's not a shout, not a fight, not even a decision. Sometimes it's just a hand reaching out. On Amadou Bello Way, Abuja, where glass buildings stare down at cracked sidewalks, a black luxury car rolled to a stop under the afternoon sun. It didn't honk. It didn't announce itself. It simply arrived. The kind of car people noticed without meaning to. The kind that didn't belong near roadside hawkers, where tired faces were dreams postponed by survival. And standing nearby was Zainab Musa, 19 years old, second-hand shoes, a faded hoodie hiding a frame made thin by years of skipping meals. She had just finished her shift at a small printing shop, the smell of ink still clinging to her fingers. Her eyes followed the car without permission. Soft pause. She didn't want it. She didn't envy it. She just wondered. What did something so expensive feel like? Before fear could stop curiosity, her fingers brushed the door. Warm, smooth, perfect. "Hey!" The shout sliced through the air. A uniformed security man stormed toward her, face tight with disgust. "Remove your hand," he barked. "Are you mad?" Zainab jerked back like she'd been burned. "I'm sorry," she said quickly. "I didn't mean—" "You didn't mean?" he scoffed. "Do you know whose car this is?" People slowed down. Phones appeared. Judgment gathered. A well-dressed woman stepped forward, eyes scanning Zainab like dirt on her shoe. "These ones have no shame," she said loudly, "always touching what they can never afford." Zainab swallowed. Her chest burned.
"I'm leaving," she said, voice shaking. "Good," the woman replied, "before you damage it." Zainab turned away. And then the car door opened. The sound was quiet, but authority doesn't need volume. A man stepped out. Late 50s, simple white caftan, calm eyes that had seen both power and regret. The security man froze. "Sir, what's happening here?" the man asked. "She was touching the vehicle," the guard rushed. "I was handling it." The man raised a hand. Silence. Then his gaze landed on Zainab, and his face changed. Confusion, shock, recognition trying to breathe. "Zainab," he said softly. A long pause. Her heart slammed. "No," she whispered, "that's not my name to you." The woman laughed nervously. "Sir, she's nobody, just a—" "She is my daughter," the man said. The street stopped breathing. Phones lowered, mouths opened. The guard staggered back. Zainab shook her head violently. "No, don't do this. Don't lie like that." The man stepped closer. "Your mother's name was Aisha Musa," he said. "She sold fabrics in Wuse Market. She loved ginger tea. She used to hum old Hausa lullabies when she was tired." Zainab's knees weakened. "No one knows that," she whispered. "I do," he said, "because I failed her." Tears blurred her vision. "I searched for you," the man continued, "but your mother didn't want my world near you. She believed wealth poisons what it touches." The crowd murmured. "And when she died," he said, voice breaking, "I found her grave without knowing where you were." Zainab's breath collapsed into sobs. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run. Instead, she stood there. "I slept in shelters," she said through tears. "I cleaned offices at night. I ate once a day." The man nodded. "I know. I watched from a distance." Pause. Heavy. "What?" she asked. "I paid your school fees anonymously,"
he said. "I stopped people from taking you off the streets." Her eyes hardened. "So you watched me suffer?" "I didn't trust myself not to destroy you," he replied. The woman who had insulted her stepped back, face pale. The guard removed his cap. Zainab wiped her tears. "I don't want your money," she said. "I don't want your house. I don't want this car." "I know," the man replied. She stared at him. "I want the truth," she said, "and I want time." He nodded. But as she turned to walk away, a voice cut through the crowd. "Sir, should I call the police now?" Everyone turned. A man in a dark suit stepped forward, cold eyes, sharp smile. "This girl," he said calmly, "isn't your daughter." Gasps rippled. The man stiffened. "What did you say?" he asked. The stranger smiled wider. "She's the key witness in a corruption case that can destroy you." Zainab froze. The crowd erupted. The man's face darkened. And for the first time, fear crossed his eyes. Truth has a sound. Sometimes it's loud, sirens, shouting, headlines screaming for attention. But sometimes truth arrives quietly, like a name spoken at the wrong time, like a stranger stepping forward when silence would have been safer. The crowd on Ahmadu Bello Way was still buzzing when the man in the dark suit finished speaking. "She is the key witness in a corruption case that can destroy you." Phones rose again, this time not out of mockery, but hunger. Zainab's breath locked in her chest. "What is he talking about?" she whispered. The man who claimed to be her father, Alhaji Sadiq Lawal, didn't answer immediately. His eyes never left the stranger. "Who sent you?" he asked calmly. The stranger smiled. "Someone you buried," he replied. The security man moved instinctively, closing ranks around Alhaji Sadiq. "Zainab," he said quietly, without turning, "get into the car." She didn't move. "You lied to me," she said. "No," he replied, "I delayed the truth." The stranger stepped closer. "You delayed justice," he corrected. Police sirens echoed in the distance. The crowd parted. And within minutes, Ahmadu Bello Way transformed from a place of humiliation into the beginning of a reckoning. The courtroom. 2 weeks later, Zainab stood inside courtroom 7 of the Federal High Court. She wore a borrowed blazer. Her hands trembled. The walls were cold, the air heavy with power. Across the room sat Alhaji Sadiq, not in a kaftan now, in a suit, smaller, older, human. The charges were read aloud: money laundering, bribery, abuse of office, obstruction of justice. Each word fell like a stone. Zainab barely heard them, because all she could hear was her mother's voice. "If anything happens to me, keep this safe." The memory struck her like thunder. The envelope, the one Aisha Musa had hidden beneath a loose floor tile years ago. The one Zainab had never opened, until now. The betrayal. The prosecutor called the witness, Zainab Musa. Her legs felt numb as she stepped forward. She glanced once at Alhaji Sadiq. He didn't plead, he didn't beg. He only nodded, as if saying, "Now." She swallowed. "My mother," she began, voice shaking, "worked in Wuse Market, but she was also a bookkeeper." Murmurs filled the room. She was hired by a private company linked to Al-Haji Sadiq's foundation. She discovered accounts that didn't match. The prosecutor leaned forward. What kind of accounts? Zainab opened the envelope. Documents spilled onto the table. Foreign transfers, shell companies, names that appeared and disappeared. My mother refused to sign off on them, Zainab continued. She said people were being robbed, hospitals underfunded, roads abandoned. Her voice cracked. They threatened her. Al-Haji Sadiq closed his eyes. She ran, Zainab said, not from him, from the men behind him. The stranger from Ahmadu Bello Way stood at the back of the courtroom, watching, waiting. The prosecutor asked gently, "Did your mother believe Al-Haji Sadiq ordered her death?" Zainab hesitated. Then she spoke. "No," she said. "She believed he was too weak to stop it." A gasp rippled through the courtroom. The reveal. Defense counsel stood abruptly. "Objection!" "Overruled," the judge said. Zainab took a breath. "There's more," she said. She turned and faced the stranger. "You told me he was responsible," she said calmly. "You lied." The stranger's smile faded. "My mother wrote your name," Zainab continued. "She trusted him, not you." The courtroom froze. Security moved. The man backed away slowly. "She named you as the one who arranged the accident." Shouts erupted. The man bolted. He didn't make it past the doors. When the chaos settled, the truth stood exposed. Al-Haji Sadiq wasn't innocent, but he wasn't the villain everyone wanted. He was something worse, a man who built power and lost control of it. Later that evening, in a holding room, Zainab sat across from him. "You should have fought harder," she said. "I know," he replied. "Do you love her?" she asked. "Yes," he said without hesitation. "And me?" He hesitated, then answered, "I want to learn how." She nodded. That was enough, for now. As she walked out of the courthouse, cameras flashed. This time, they weren't laughing. They were listening. Power doesn't fall the way people imagine. There are no explosions, no dramatic music. It falls quietly, behind closed doors, inside court files, between sentences spoken without mercy. By the time Judgment Day arrived, the country had already decided who Al-Haji Sadiq Lawal was. To some, he was a thief who hid behind charity. To others, a scapegoat, useful, disposable. To Zainab, he was still unfinished. The verdict. The courtroom was packed. Journalists lined the walls. Cameras waited like predators. Zainab sat alone this time. No borrowed blazer, no shaking hands. She had grown into herself. The judge adjusted his glasses. "Al-Haji Sadiq Lawal," he said, "you are hereby found guilty on multiple counts of corruption, failure of fiduciary duty, and obstruction." A ripple moved through the room. "You are sentenced to 12 years in federal custody. All assets linked to these crimes are forfeited to the state." The gavel struck. That was it. No shouting, no collapse, just finality. Al-Haji Sadiq closed his eyes. For the first time in his life, there was nothing left to negotiate. Outside the courthouse, reporters surrounded Zainab. "Do you forgive him? Will you change your name? Are you rich now?" She didn't answer, because forgiveness is not a performance. and healing does not happen on camera. She walked away. 3 months later, Zainab stood in a federal prison visiting room. The walls were pale green, the air smelled like bleach and regret. Alhaji Sadiq was escorted in. He looked smaller, older, human in a way power had never allowed. They sat across from each other. Silence stretched. "I read the news," he said finally. "You declined the restitution fund." "Yes," she replied. "Why?" "Because my mother didn't die so I could live comfortably," Zainab said. "She died because people wanted comfort more than truth." He nodded. "I failed you," he said. "Yes," she replied. He flinched, not at the word, but at how gently it was spoken. "I loved your mother," he said. "I know," Zainab answered. "Love isn't the problem." She reached into her bag and placed something on the table. The photograph, the same one he had shown her. "I'm keeping this," she said, "not as proof of you, but of her." He swallowed. "Will you ever come back?" he asked. She stood. "I came for closure," she said, "not continuation." Then she paused. "And for what it's worth," she added, "you didn't lose everything." He looked up. "You lost power," she continued. "That's not the same thing." She walked away, and he didn't call her back. 6 months later, a small community school opened on the outskirts of Abuja. No big ceremony, no politicians, just children. On the wall hung a modest sign, Aisha Musa Center for Accountability and Learning. Inside, Zainab taught basic bookkeeping to market women, teenagers, and artisans. How to read numbers, she told them, and how to question them. One afternoon, a reporter asked her, "Do you believe justice was served?" Zainab smiled, but not with happiness. "With truth," she said. Then she added, "My mother used to say something." She looked at the camera. "The most dangerous people are not the wicked, but the powerful who think they are good." As the camera pulled back, children's voices filled the air. Not sirens, not insults, just learning. On Amadou Bello Way, traffic still flowed. Cars still passed. People still judged. But somewhere between a luxury vehicle and a courtroom, a girl who was once invisible became a witness, and a country listened. Every society is judged not by how it treats the powerful, but by how quickly it dismisses the powerless. Zainab's story reminds us that dignity has nothing to do with wealth, that truth does not always wear clean clothes, and that silence, especially from those with power, can be as destructive as cruelty itself. We learn that good intentions are not enough, that love without courage can still cause harm, and that waiting for the right time to do what is right often becomes the reason injustice survives. But this story is also a reminder of hope, that one voice, even a trembling one, can expose systems built on fear, that accountability is more valuable than inheritance, and that healing begins when we choose integrity over comfort. So, as you return to your own life, remember this: question what you are told, protect the vulnerable, and never measure a person's worth by what they own or where they stand. Because the world doesn't change when the powerful are exposed. It changes when ordinary people refuse to look away. If this story moved you, let it move you to action. Speak when silence feels easier. Stand up when it feels safer to step back. And share this message because someone
somewhere, may need the courage you help pass along. Thank you for listening.